Alrighty, I think that we are live.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm just going to give it 30 seconds before we get started because I don't want anyone to miss out on some good information. All right, welcome everybody to today's Facebook Live with Katie Crismale-Marshall. I'm so excited to have you here. We launched the book together last week, and so this is a follow-up Facebook Live to ask some more questions and find out what's happening. So welcome, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Let's get started. What's happened since the launch? Tell me about the book. Tell me about what you've heard from people. Just give us an overview.
So we launched last Tuesday afternoon, which was great. There was a whole bunch of people who had pre-ordered the book, so they are all slowly receiving that now. They were all sent quite some time ago. Australia Post, yes, you have yours. Australia Post is a little bit slow on some of those, but some of the feedback that I've been getting back has been exciting because I really took the time when writing the book to try and make it really simple and useful for my tradies. So just as an example, one I received last night, and I'll just read it. So, hi Katie, thank you. I received my copy of your book today and just finished reading it. It's so much easier to digest than the actual Profit First book. I actually have a chance of getting my partner to read it. So that was exactly what I wanted when I wrote it, was to be able to take Mike's Profit First structure and adapt it to Australia and to our tradies so that it could be made much more useful to our market. So that's very exciting.
That would have been amazing to get that feedback because I know that was your biggest goal when writing this book. So congratulations.
Thank you. It was, and when I wrote the book, I actually there was actually some sections I took out of it and some sections that I cut down because I like to give away as much information as possible. And then when I was going back through it, I just realized it was just making it more complicated than it needed to be. So I pulled some parts out. So to get that feedback is a really good start. So makes it certainly worthwhile.
And like, there's nothing better than getting a book and going, I get it. Now I can take action. I know that like there are so many books out there. And I was actually having a conversation with another person just yesterday about how people write all these books and it's just a whole heap of fluff in a book and like a thinly veiled sales pitch at the end. And what I love about your book is it is all like information that people can take steps with. So can't wait to see what happens to the tradie industry when they get their hands on it. Because I know you've also got another goal, which is to have the book in how many hands?
So 1,000 by Christmas. So we have already, there's already 200 of mine that I have sent out. Plus whoever has bought online so far. I only get updated with those figures at the beginning of the month for the previous month. So my goal is 1,000 tradies. And with that, if anyone has purchased the book and has a friend or a family member that you think it may be useful for, send me an email and I'm happy to send them a copy as well. Because as Laura had said, it's step by step. You can read it and actually make some changes quite simply. Just by reading it, and you don't have to read it all at once. You don't have to sit down and read cover to cover. You can just read what you need to and then implement that and then take the next step.
Absolutely. And I guess I've got a couple of questions for you. The first question being, does your book cover Australian taxes and GST?
Yes, so that one of the main things with Mike's book is obviously it's American based, so it doesn't talk about GST at all, which my book obviously does, and our tax system is different to what they have in America. So that was one area that when I wrote it, I wrote specifically for Australia, so it makes sense to us. We don't have to think, oh, he's talking about sales tax, what is that tax for us here? So it's all in our terms that we use as business owners and that we have to deal with the ATO. So
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, because I know that like from the comments that I've been seeing, people are like, oh, does it actually address this? And of course it does. So I thought I'd better ask the question and get you to answer it too. So you've touched on this, but I guess so that we can get a direct answer as well. What is different about your book than the standard book by Mike?
So in my book, what I did is I took the profit first method and I adapted it to the how we work here in Australia. So changes were things like GST, the different way that our company partnership so on are structured and the tax perspective, and then also for tradies about materials and subs. So Mike talks about materials and subs only needing to worry about it if you've got 20%, more than 20%. As a standard, we need to put money aside for materials and subs. So that's just become part of the process. So the basic framework is similar, and then I just adapted it so that it works without too much thought. I didn't want people to have to interpret my book. You can just read it and it will make sense for our market. And what we do and what we have to do here in Australia.
Okay, fantastic. And can you share a unique perspective from your book?
I think something I wanted to do with the book is, as I've said time and time again, I wanted to make it just easy to follow. So our tradies are all very good at following plans for whatever it is that they are building or creating and so on. And this is just a plan for your finances. So what I find is people get overwhelmed when we're talking about numbers and money and so on. And the amount of times I've heard, I'm good at building whatever it is, I don't know anything about numbers. I hear it time and time again, and I'm yet to meet a tradie who isn't very, very smart. Like, you can't do all those things. You can't interpret plans and build what you do unless you're quite smart. So what I wanted to create was just that plan for their finances and their cash flow that they could follow and make it super simple. They were once an apprentice with whatever trade they have. I just remind them that this is just your apprenticeship. Start at the beginning, follow the plan, and they can quite quickly understand it and become quite knowledgeable and quite comfortable with their cash flow and turn it around quite quickly once they just follow the plan. It's the same concept as they do and have done day in, day out for years and years and years in their trade.
Fantastic. I guess another question that I've heard quite a lot, and I guess you'll probably start to be asked as well, is so you've obviously written Profit First for Tradies, but this is the Profit First spin-off, I guess, specifically for Australia. So what would you say for other businesses? Is it worthwhile still reading the book if they're professional services or any other industry except for tradies? Will they still be able to follow it in the same way?
Yeah, absolutely. So all you would need to do is, wherever I refer to tradies, you just replace that with whatever your industry is. The one thing that would be slightly different would be materials and subs. So if you're in professional services, for example, you may not have anything that would be categorized as materials and subs. Perfectly okay. Skip that step, skip that account, and the process will still work, because we're still talking about putting money aside for GST and our different taxes and all those, paying yourself a wage and putting money aside for profit. So everything else remains the same. Just take out the word tradie and replace it with whatever industry or position that you are in, and it can certainly work to be your plan for your particular industry.
Brilliant. And I think that's the thing that people need to know, is that the way that you've written it can really apply to anyone and everyone. And if it doesn't resonate or it's not working, then I guess skip that bit and go to the next stage. And they'll still manage to get a lot out of the book. So that is fantastic. So what are your plans now? You've obviously got the launch has happened, you're selling the books. I know that doesn't stop there for you, Katie. What's on your to-do list? What are you hoping to achieve?
So my to-do list is always long and interesting. So my next thing is that previously when clients worked with me, I was doing lots of one-on-one work and a little bit of group work. So what I've done whilst writing the book, I've re-looked at the way I deliver what I do, and I've packaged that into what will be a 6-month program. So I will launch that in July, and that will be a group coaching program where there'll be online, you can do that in your own time, but then also sessions with me where I will come in and we'll do live masterclasses, and then also a little bit of one-on-one coaching as well to help you step through and implement it completely. Because what I find, the feedback I get is we've got to a certain point and then we weren't sure we were doing it right, so we just stopped. And the amount of times I've worked with clients one-on-one who have started to implement and then stopped because they weren't sure what the next steps looked like, it was probably 75% of the people I've worked with. And so I was trying to find a way where they could take the book, implement it themselves, but then something that was easy for them. And everybody is, time is precious for everyone. So an online program allows them to do the online learning whenever they want. If that's 5 a.m. or 10 o'clock at night, they can do that. That's no worries. So that will launch leading up to July, and we'll start the beginning of July. Of course, the 1,000 tradies by Christmas, that's the goal for this year, and no doubt I'll come up with a little bit crazier number on that one as we move through that as well. And so for the moment, there's some other things in the pipeline which I will, sort of announce as they happen. But yeah, always lots going on. Lots of things. There's lots of ways that I can help tradies. So it's just making sure I can do that in a really simple way for them, and be able to help a number of people rather than just with the one-on-one work, which I had previously been focusing on.
Brilliant. And I guess not everyone's going to know this, but you actually have a Facebook group for Profit First for Tradies, right?
I do. So I have a Facebook group, which we are at, I think we're at like 995 people or something at the moment. So we're almost at 1,000 people. So the reason why I created that group about 14 months ago now, and it was just so we could have a space where you can come and ask questions, whether it be Profit First related, bookkeeping related, or even general business stuff that relates to tradies, so that not only I could jump in and help you and give you some pointers and some tips and, refer you on to other people, but also so the group can help each other. And one thing I love most about the group is that as we've built it up over time, questions will get asked. I may not be in there straight away, and other people will start jumping in and saying how they've done it and what they suggest worked for them and so on. And that's the, I guess, most satisfying part, when the community is starting to help each other, because then that means that can then flow on, outside of the group as well. So the group's just Profit First for Tradies. Search it on Facebook and request, and we would happily have any tradie wives, tradie partners in there who just want somewhere where they can ask the question and know that even if, as I always say, if I don't have the answer, I know somebody who will have the answer, and I will find that for you. So the feedback has been that it's been a really good resource for many people, rather than having to not know the answer or not be able to know who to ask. They've come in, asked the question, and then either myself or somebody else has been able to say, oh, speak to this person, or oh no, stay away from them, or how about you try this. So that's been really, really nice to see that community build in there.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll also pop the direct link to the group in the comments as well. And I guess that one of the other things that you tend to do in your group is jump in and do lives about different topics too, don't you?
Yeah, so I try to jump in once a week and sort of do a bit of a info live about something particular, but then I'll also jump in randomly when something is a little bit annoying. If I find I've had clients that have, a couple of clients or a couple of people mentioned that they're sort of going through the same thing, then I'll jump in and it'll be like, okay, I've heard this a few times. What's going on? Here's some suggestions. Here's some strategies. Because everything changes so quickly, it's much easier to just jump in. I'm actually going to jump in after this and talk about HubDoc, because what I realized is many people now are using HubDoc, but they're using it waste time and energy and jump into a 10-minute live and so much time. So yeah, they're always different things doing that.
I think the internet's gone a little bit funny there. So you're obviously going to be doing a live about HubDoc, which, and that's the other thing, is they get people, they get information about additional things that wouldn't otherwise come up in this group. So I'm really excited about that. Are you still with me, Katie? Ah, it looks like Katie might have dropped out. While we're waiting for Katie to rejoin, here she is. Okay. Give it 1 second, but while we're waiting for Katie to rejoin, I do want to let you know that you can purchase the book from profitfirstfortradies.com.au/book. It's also being sold on Amazon, Booktopia, Book Depository, Barnes & Noble, so you can get it from there as well. Katie, can you hear me?
Wouldn't be a Facebook Live without us having some tech issue.
You're back.
I'm back.
That's awesome. Well, I think we're not going to test the technology gods too much further, because we know what happens once this starts. I've just let everyone know where they can get the book from, and we'll also put in the comments your Facebook group as well. And if anyone has any questions for Katie, feel free to put them in the comments. We'll tag Katie. Katie can come back and respond as well. And yeah, I will keep on tracking what's happening with you and this book. And a big congratulations from all of us here at First Australia. We absolutely are so proud of you. And yeah, can't wait to see you reach the goals that you're hoping to achieve. So thanks for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me.